Okay, now I'm not muted, so that's good. So let me start that again. I'm David from PhotoPixel. I make games for fun in my spare time when I'm not too busy with my day job and other responsibilities. Is this paper? Ah, no, it is a box of tissues. All right. I have ADHD, so I get distracted by boxes of tissues that I notice. They're not the only thing. They're just the most recent. That was something I didn't notice until I was older because I didn't try and do full-time work, not consistently for long enough for it to matter until I was older. So very late diagnosed, still kind of learning how that works and finding the right balance of things. Yeah, and that's part of the reason that I'm doing my game development on livestream, because having an audience, even if imaginary, makes it a lot easier to actually do it, to not decide not to do it because I'm tired or have something else I feel like doing at the time, and so on. So yeah, essentially using that to help me be in a habit of continuing to chip away at it. But I haven't started chipping away at it yet because I've just been talking and not even showing anything. So yeah, this today list here might be not entirely accurate. I haven't looked at it for a while. Let's do that now. I believe I was most recently working on this arrow here, and I will actually go back to that list for a minute because it just shows it a bit bigger. I'm going to be looking there because that is where the list is. I will move this laptop over there at some point so that it works a little better. Yeah, so I'm working on the tutorial system right now. So let me just run the game as well while I talk. And I may try and start showing the game when it is not ready for showing. I mean, when I'm still on this scene. That's going to be echoing. Hang on a second. I'll just change my audio channel. That's better. Now it is not playing out of speakers. That should be a little bit less echoey for you. Right, so yeah, basically I've just been working on that tutorial system, and this arrow is part of that. When I say this arrow, I mean the arrow that you now can see. I'm pretty sure that was the last thing I was poking around with. Yeah, so I've run the game here. The menus are horrible and ugly and also have random other junk on top of them, which is just my debug canvas. In my UI manager here, I've got the debug canvas there, which is, I'll get rid of that. So yeah, that needs a rework, but that will be part of the polish, sort of closer to the end of production. There we go. There's the arrow in context. I have this test button. Yeah, so I got stuff working with the tutorial system, and this test button was part of it. Not a permanent fixture, of course. But here we go. This is the first level, and it has... I haven't yet got it constraining the levels. It looks like these are three people who look identical, at least outwardly. They may have different hair colors and textures, but they're also bald, so you can't tell. So that's something that that's one of the items on the list over here, is which is just above me now. Making hard-coded tutorial level trees. That way I can make sure that I don't end up with the first level. Yeah, so tutorial text is just going to stay there because I'm in the middle of working on that, but I guess that has to go that way. The basic rules of how the game works are the hair color is merged from two parents. For example, these two have the same, have different hair colors. There is nothing halfway in between blue and green right now because that'll be filling in content a bit later. So that means it'll just pick one or the other to make. So as long as that matches, it'll work. And then the trees start to get a bit bigger. And then, so we've got that person on that side. This one looks compatible on this side. But I have a feeling maybe, oh yeah, no, could be. So blue plus yellow makes green hair. And I'll try not to just play this all night because I do have a hard stop after a couple of hours, which I should really set an alarm for. Otherwise, I'll get caught up in what I'm doing. I have a visual timer here. I don't know if that's just going to be making a ticking sound. Oh yeah, seems like the noise cancelling actually gets rid of that completely. So it only goes for an hour, so I'll set it for an hour, and then when it goes off, I'll set it for however much time I've got left. Yeah, I'm going to stop playing this now and get ready to continue working on this tutorial system. So I believe what I had... yeah, look, I've already crossed off text elements with positions and dimensions. And I believe that is, here we go, tutorial levels. I've got these scriptable objects that I made. So this is a tutorial level scriptable object. Interesting. What is this error? There we go. Never a dull moment. I'm going to stop this here because the music gets a bit repetitive. I did have multiple tracks in there, but one of them was triggering the copyright takedown thingy that mutes your audio, and I didn't want that to happen. So I stopped using those, at least temporarily. Later on, I'll get the music sorted out. Anyway, so what's going on here with Visual Studio? This file path. An error occurred in miscellaneous files while attempting to open tutorial-level.cs. The system cannot find the file specified. Have I perhaps moved something? Maybe. Anyway, let me click on my tutorial system. Here's tutorial level. I'm just going to double click on that. And there we go. That's it. So I'll just close that other one. And let me unpin that so that we can see what is here. I like to work on a big 4K monitor, which is basically what you can see just there. Well, just here. But that does mean that things might be a bit small if you're viewing at 1080p or something. It looks especially small over here, but that's because it's like half resolution. So this should be all right. Send a message in chat if it's a problem. Is the Stream Elements chat working? I'm just going to do a little test here to see if I'm getting messages through Stream Elements. Yes, I am. Excellent. I'll just do test successful over here. Oh, hey. Volley. I don't know if you want me to reveal your real name, but cool. I have a real person viewing and someone that I know. even better. So I don't know how long you've been watching for, but I think I heard today that we're going to get some board games going later this month. So that's going to be good. Yeah, I was streaming super early in the morning, like waking up at 3, because that kind of was easiest to fit into the schedule and was least disruptive to everyone else. But yeah, it's not when people are on. So I thought, let me try for a month or something, streaming at a more appropriate time. Yeah. Anyway, time is ticking, as my visual timer is reminding me again. So I will get back into this. So essentially what we've got here is a scriptable object, which is just here. It's extending a scriptable object. So unlike a game object, which is meant to be inserted into the scene, like these buttons. This is a tree of game objects over the side here. These are actually meant to be, well, this script basically describes a structure that will be instantiated here, and you can basically put in some values. So I've got 2 different tutorial levels defined here, and yeah, each one can have an array of different items of text and their position on the screen. And I believe that test button, here's a button. I've got my page canvas. Was it on that button? Yes, so this is tutorial level 0. And so I'm just going to put tutorial level 1, and I believe that's, I mean, this one's named tutorial level 02, but it's at the second index. So now if I run this and use that button, it should get those 3 bits of text that are defined in here working. So yes, let's test that. Yes, there we go. Got 3 bits of text and they're all positioned in different places. So yeah, that bit is working, which is why I've got these text elements with positions and dimensions. And so this is what I'm working on right now. Let me move the little head down there. Arrows with lines and positions. And let me also update. I just noticed this thing that I often forget to update and should really write a OBS plugin for. Here, this bit of text here should say tutorial system. There we go. It was getting pretty cold, so I decided to put my dressing gown on. But now that's seeming like not such a good idea, possibly because of the amount of heat coming out of the computer and monitor now. But oh well. It's not the most fast-paced of games to be developing. I mean, as far as how fast-paced the gameplay is, unfortunately. And also it's taken a lot longer than I'd planned, but I don't really get that much time per week on development at the moment. 8 hours would probably be the absolute maximum, and I often don't hit that. Okay, so I got this tutorial level, and I think I was working on a script related to lines. Where was that? I've got a line generator, level system. See, that line generator, I think, is just for the lines in between the things. Tutorial system here, arrow line renderer. So okay, so what I was doing here, and this is the last thing that I was working on, was looking to get an arrow line going. I've got this arrow line renderer script which is an inspector script. Let's just open that up. So there's my arrow line renderer. So basically I've got this arrow line as a prefab, and it looks like I have some code here. That is meant to set some positions. Yes, okay. I don't know whether I had that working yet, but what it's supposed to do is wherever I've got the positions set for this game object, it should move that arrow to that position, because line renderers will render their line in a particular place regardless of where the game object is. So this is a rect transform here, but it doesn't matter if I move that transform around. The arrow is still rendered in that same place. But how am I meant to actually trigger that? It doesn't look like I actually have any what's this? Hang on. So this is the editor script that I guess I maybe started writing. This is what happens when I have a break for a few weeks. Looks like I was in the middle of looking at some kind of inspector. Which I think means if I select this arrow line, custom inspector is working. Yes, okay, so here we go. So this little drawer here in the inspector is this. It's this thing. So this is an inspector for my arrow line renderer, and presumably I should be able to add a button that will call that thing, reset positions around 0. And I think I was just starting to learn about these. Excuse me. That was the pizza talking. There is a button. This is a clickable button. Now, let me just see what this label is, particularly what namespace that's in. Navigating to definition. You're taking your time. Where are we? We've decompiled an assembly, that's why. Summary constructs a label. I don't know if that background noise got picked up. Somebody's not doing a very good job of going to bed by the sound of it. Well, that's label.label Unity Engine.ui elements. Oh well. I'm just going to guess my way through this. So we've got button or one overload. We can give it a click event. The action triggered when the button is clicked. So that's probably going to be a delegate. So yeah, that's interesting. I could see more messages over on here, which is the Twitch chat, than I can on the Stream Elements chat. So I have no idea whether messages from YouTube are getting forwarded through, but if they're not, apologies, and jump over onto Twitch. Anyway, okay, so I need an action. Probably some kind of enumerator. I'm going to try and find some docs that I might have been looking at for. Okay, grab this thingy and wait a minute, that's all full of my search histories and stuff. Nothing embarrassing there, I think. But let me see, what am I looking for here? I'm looking for Unity Custom Editor button. Visual element. Yeah, something like that might be good. There's a few different contexts where button might be relevant. Gonna set the text attribute on it. All right, gonna refer to that stuff over there and see if I can make a bit of a button here. I'll set the text on there to be something interesting. There we go, something interesting. And let's just select this arrow line render here and see what happens. I haven't done anything with the style sheet or anything, so it might look a bit janky or something. Ah, yes, there is my something interesting button. It has no behavior attached to it, but that's fine. We'll get there. Maybe this form here would... yeah, someone's asking that. I thought someone would. clickable.clicked plus equals something. Sure. So we'll just add a lambda on here, I guess. An anonymous function. And why do I not have debug logging? Unity engine.debug .log you clicked a button. This is not for users, by the way. Everything just here. This is for me and other developers. If this project was ever going to have another developer working on it, I don't have any plans for other developers to work on this because I'm going to get it finished and released and move on to the next one. But basically, if I switch to the console here, then clicking my button now should get that message. You clicked a button. So yes, it does now. I got one more thing to do, which is there's this arrow line renderer, which this is the inspector for. So I want to actually access that element that is being inspected. So I'm just going to Google that over here. Here we go. Unity manual, create a custom inspector. So this is where I should be looking, really. The official docs, often a good place to start. They're also often, depending on the level of polish or resourcing of the library you're working with, they might actually not be true. So the source code is always the most definitive documentation for any library. But Unity is pretty decent for having a pretty good overview of most of everything in there. Right, custom inspector. I believe that's what I'm doing here. I have something. I've got my custom inspector script. I've done the same thing there. But I'm not making anything quite so exciting as a car. And got this looks like basically where I got up to with this last time. Yes, slightly different text because you gotta spice things up a little by making a different bland generic sentence. UI builder. Yeah, I wasn't about to start messing about with the UI builder. Yeah, maybe one day I'll learn UXML, but not today. This is all binding fields to stuff that has been built. Here we go. Yeah, this is stuff with binding. No. Yeah, I think I need to go back to Googling this. let's see what we got here. Communicating between custom editor window and monitor behavior. So custom editor window script, monitor behavior script. That looks like they're just trying to actually find something. This is too close. I haven't done anything with my audio for a while. Target. Either that's incoherent or I just haven't spent enough time trying to read it. So what I need is a bit of code here where I can get the target object editor.target, the object being inspected. Okay, that was actually helpful to me. Because it mentioned target. But I haven't read that carefully enough to know whether it should be upvoted. So can I call, what's my function called? Reset positions around 0. Wait. This is all quite different, isn't it? I've been working in monitor behavior so much that I have forgotten how to, well, not forgotten, I've got used to that. And now I'm starting to try and write web coding stuff in there. Now what I want is, so what is target exactly? It's an object. Interesting, target change lists. Let's just grab t equals target. Which is the object being inspected. So what does getType do? Lots of new little things here. Time for more Googling. So let's grab custom editor, target, Like, do I just cast it? Unity engine object. Okay, so this is a bunch of words, so that's probably good. It's also from 2019, so maybe take with a grain of salt. Unity engine.object being inspected. It's the object that's highlighted in the editor that an inspector is being drawn for. If multiple objects are selected, then it's just the first one in the list. Custom editors are made for classes that derive from Unity engine.object, as that's what's selectable in the editor. Since item is not a monobehavior or scriptable object, it literally can't be the object being inspected. Okay, yeah. It looks like what I probably need to do here is just cast this to monobehavior. Like a game object, I mean. And then I can probably do get component of arrow line renderer on that. And so let's call that R for now because it's late in the day, and although that's a terrible identifier, that'll do for now. But I should be able to hopefully call that method. Let me just go check because I've had a buffer overrun and forgotten that it's called reset positions around 0. There, well, that should be now called, and maybe I'll even yeah, current thingy, very helpful. Past self. Let me just add a debug log in there. And now I see that there's one in set positions that would have done the trick, since that's just called as well, but hey, that's fine. All right. So now we may actually, okay, we don't actually want to call that just willy-nilly though. We want that to happen in here. So I'll just move this here, move these up above there. So let's put them right up there. And I'll get rid of this lonely semicolon. It's fine, I think. Like valid syntax, but I don't know what all this extra white space is. Okay. So now let's see what we got. I select my arrow line. I expand my, nope. I do not expand my arrow line renderer script because I'm no longer getting my stuff here. What's going on? This exception is probably the clue. Invalid cast exception. Specified cast is not valid. Well, I would guess that probably means that this is not a valid cast. Any more detail on that? Is there a special way to cast a... Well, I'm not the first person to have hit that. Have they used target? Okay. Closing and reopening the editor seem to help. They solved it by moving their creation of their assignment of their target into create inspector GUI, but that's where I am. Yeah, I think an editor restart is probably all that's needed here. But that's so slow. Let's first just try just only doing this if we have a target. Let me not use TypeScript syntax there. I'll use C# syntax in my C# code. There we go. And then we can create the button and add it. So yeah, we'll only add the button if we actually have a thing to inspect. So then if this, I presume this is running multiple times. If I add some logging when it's creating inspector GUI, create inspector GUI ran again. Okay, let's see if that helps. Okay, we get that. We also get that. So cast is not null. Interesting. So that is still having, this should be line 20 now. Yes, it is line 20. So why don't I log what that is? Log type of target. No. Maybe I can just do string on it. I'll just log it without anything. And let's log to string in case, I mean, I think logging it will actually call to string on it anyway, but yeah, it didn't take very long to add that. Okay, so now we've got that running, and it definitely seems to be reporting itself as an arrow line renderer. So yeah, okay. I'm going to do I really need to restart this every single time? Oh, wait, I haven't clicked off that. Let me click off that. Clear that console. Click back onto it. Okay, yeah, no. I was dreaming a little there. So yeah, I guess just restart this and then let's just save everything, save the project, and reopen that. Where did I put my thing here? So yeah, this week should be probably one of the last times I'm working on the systems in this game. So there's a little bit more to do in the attribute system, but I've got a bit of a code cleanup just for things to be easier to work with, and then I'll be on to what I'm calling the production phase, which will be fixing a bunch of bugs, any of those that are still there, some things that I won't be doing. I've got to go clean that up a bit, but essentially creating all of the different hair colors and other things like that I'll need to have more variety in these little people, and possibly adding clothing and having that involved as well. Some of that was from before I changed it to a family tree from being a people merging game. But yeah, basically a bunch of little bits and pieces of polish, and then I'll have a finished game, which I'll just release, and then I need to choose the next one to work on. So that filled the space while this was reloading. Now, let us really, really hope. Where did I even put that? Oh, there we go. Here. Nope, still getting that same invalid cast exception. Which makes sense. Yeah, sometimes things are very obvious and we just sort of shut down our brains because it's nighttime, it's dark out there. Well, you can't see out there. You should have pointed the camera over that way if you wanted to see over there. Yeah, so what we're getting here is an arrow line renderer. So when I do this, that's not the right thing to do. I should just cast it directly to an arrow line renderer. And then I don't need to do that thing. Obviously, this bit of code doesn't make any sense, but that just gets it working with the minimal changes. There we go. I am literally paid to do programming professionally as my full-time job. So don't feel bad if you're learning and you miss things, because nobody's perfect. And a lot of the videos you watch of people writing code, the bits where they did stupid stuff get cut out. But we all do stupid stuff because These things are not machines. They're just kind of a sort of sponge that figured out how to introspect. That's old. This is all new stuff. I believe that has actually... Whoa. It's running some code. The code is making this arrow run away. I'll click it a few more times. Interesting. So, yeah, this arrow has these positions, and these positions are being adjusted in some way. So I'm calling reset positions around 0. What does reset positions around 0 do? It does set positions. And it's giving it a vector, a 0 vector as the new position. I can't see new position being used at all in here, so that's a bit of a concern. So what am I actually doing? Offset equals negative transformed opposition. Oh, this is trying to set them back to 0, I think. Now, let's have a look at this. We've got this transform here. It's a racked transform, and it's got a position which is down here. I could move this. If I move it there, oh wait, why didn't I pop it there? Yeah, so this transform has a position of 0, 0, 0, and where's the origin? Here, is this game manager for some reason not at 0? Doesn't need to be in any particular position, but this one's way over somewhere else. That's not very well organized. What about the UI manager? That's at 0, 0, 0. So yeah, that is 0, 0, 0 right there. So for some reason, here is 0, 0, 0. Oh, that's relative to the page canvas, is it? Page canvas. This is the page canvas. Yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, I digress. Okay, we've got this thingy here. We've got X, Y, Z, 0, 0, 0. Now it's taking offset as the negative of that. And then it's going through every point, and whatever that vector I computed there is, it is adding that offset to it and setting it back into the position. So with this at 0, I guess clicking this should do nothing. No, it does not much. It's interesting. So even though this is reporting 0, 0, 0 here, you can see there is like a little bit of an offset there. If I put this over this side, I mean, that's something interesting button is getting pretty accurate now, because now it's an interesting puzzle about what's happening. So I'll put it this way, and will that make it move that way? Yeah, so apparently I have written code in here that will make it move in the opposite direction to what it should. So basically, if I just Why don't I actually draw some stuff, because we're talking about vector maths here, and it'll do your head in. Unless you perhaps open a recent file like these stream sketches here. And there we go. So there's the very neat writing that I've put on there. And what was that movement over there? No idea. Something in the background was changing. I've minimized something now, so it won't. Let's grab a new one. Let's get a new layer on here. And this can be arrow position vectors. And what can we currently see here? Tutorial text system? Yeah. All right, so let's grab a cool color. And what have we got? I'll grab orange actually, because that's what the arrow basically is like here. And it's got some kind of vector transform on it, which it lives in. And let's just get, say, white. We've got the origin here, 0, 0. Okay, let's grab, say, yellow, and how do vector transform positions work? I think we've got a pivot. So I think I've set the pivot to the bottom corner there. And so that's where its position is based, maybe. Something like that. That'll do. Let's say this bottom corner here is the pivot. So that means this vector represents the current position of that line where it's being rendered. And, interesting. Now, we've already established that if I were to drag this somewhere, like there, it will not update the positions of the points in this line. So then we'll end up with this here and those points way over there. So that's not actually going to update the line renderer to be where we've dragged the vector transform to. And what I want is to be able to position the line relative to wherever its transform is. It's the kind of the whole point of this this thing, to be able to have it move. So I wonder, is there a way that I can capture that on drag start and is that something that this inspector can perhaps do? This is just drawing stuff in the inspector drawer. Do we have anything with drag? I think I might need to do something else. Well, let's not get into too much of that. This is meant to be just a quickish thing to make it so that I can move arrows around for my tutorial system without too much mucking about. So yeah, basically what I've got at that point then is this vector transform with this vector over here. Oh, a bit curvy, that vector. That's the banana vector. So yes, it's one of its parents is a exponential curve. So we've got this, and we've got these points here. And I guess basically the offset that I want, I mean, if I had the previous position and the new position, that would be really useful. But if I know that point there, and I move that to that point there we go, that vector has run into something and become kinked. That would do the trick. So then I just add that vector to every point. But which point is that? So here's my arrow. And if I make this like that, just to be able to see that picture, which would be nice. So I've got my arrow here. And how am I going to tell which point is which? It's going to be one of the lower y values, but not the lowest. And it's going to be one of the highest, or at least negative, x values. I think it's this one. I know how to test that. Instead of 11, I'll put 51. That did not help, actually. And let's have a look what happens if we change this from 67 to 77. 57. Does that look like the point of the arrow? That was meant to be 60, wasn't it? Oh, okay. Actually, I can use that existing behavior that we've got. So basically the way that this should be able to work is in practice, when these are being used, they'll essentially just live. They'll be instantiated once and positioned once in the tutorial in a tutorial level. So really, what I just need to do is do whatever I have to. Oh, which way is it going? Yeah, it's going further away. Do I go this way now? That's sending it that way. If I can get that tip of that arrow to 0, 0 and set that in the prefab, then I don't actually need to make it work properly. I think the page canvas has this position because it's trying to fit on the page. But it does make it kind of annoying to try and center something. But yeah, that's where we're aiming, right there. So yes, that's where we want it to be. And that's where it is. So we're moving it to the other side of 0, 0 to set. Right, that's going that way. Oh. Oh, hang on a minute. If if this lines up with this, gah. Okay, that was 1 hour. Not from the stream start, just from whenever I thought to start that. Okay, yeah, that's how to do it. So I just line this up with this. I don't think it matters what that does, as long as that pivot of that is right on top of the arrow. Then when I click this, that should send it to 0, which is what I want for the prefab. So there we go. Well, there we go. That was much easier than updating all of those points by hand. Just had to learn how to, and then actually do writing this code. So I'm going to keep this because it can be useful. If the transform pivot is lined up with the point of the arrow, this will move the arrow so its point is pointing to 0, 0 in world coordinates. Right. So that's pretty useful for just getting that into that position. I might not need to ever use that again since I've already got it positioned there, but let me grab this. Let me wait while script compile and then grab this. And then we'll go from there. Gripping stuff here. I'm going to position that pivot right there. I'll make the rect transform about the right size because of good reasons. I'll put it just there. Good. Excellent. Now let me go to this prefab. I'll go to this and oops, I've gone into the prefab. Let me just go out of the prefab and prefab. I just want to apply. What are these buttons? That's new. That wasn't there before. I've got buttons to hide visually. Anything. And whatever this finger thing is. Buttons to finger the objects or don't. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe that turns off interactions so that you can not accidentally bump things. Anyway, prefab overrides over here, apply all. So now we should have a prefab that has all the points that we want. So anytime that we make a prefab, it will show up right here. And instead of saying something interesting, let me make this instead say this is not button positions, it's just on the button. point arrow at 0. Maybe we can do a tooltip, yeah. There. Object initialization can be simplified. That's always nice. Oh, interesting. Okay. There's a bunch of other little bits and pieces using explicit types here. Should be able to inline this because it's pointless. Should be able to use the type here. And I'll just rename this to be Arrowline renderer. Oh, let's just call it Arrowline. That'll be close enough for this context. New expression can be simplified. Okay, show me. No, it knows that it is a button, so I don't need to repeat that. I really like C# for its syntactic sugar. I haven't used Java for a long time, but that was the big difference between Java and C# that I particularly appreciated. Well, it was one of. There are multiple things that I prefer. Okay, we don't need all this debug logging. Okay, so we've got point arrow at 0. And so I guess we want another button. So I'll just rename this to be 0 button. And make another, which we'll call, no wait, do I need, yes, I think I want a button that will do like make it go where the vector transform is, assuming that the arrow is pointing at 0 already. So move from 0 to transform. Okay, so do the same thing here. We'll add a call to a function. That's just going to be that arrow line. We'll do set positions, and then this time we're actually giving it, well, I don't know if this is going to work, but this time we should be passing in a vector. It's probably just going to be the arrow line transform dot position. Let's see if that works. Maybe don't need the custom inspector is working text anymore, now that it's actually doing something. Okay, I've got a point arrow at 0. I don't see this button, and I know why. It's because I forgot to add it. My inspector.add position button. Yep. I've got repetition here, like this. I could make a function that makes and adds one of these buttons. But it's only repeated twice, so it's not meeting the required 3 things before deduplicating. Let's just get that. Okay, let's click here to trigger that to recompile. Just having a look at the list of names in chat, most of which are bots. One of them's even a bot that I purposely put there, but most of them aren't. But that's cool. Not much different from very early in the morning, but hey, takes a while to get momentum sometimes. And as long as I'm actually getting the game made, that's all that matters. Okay, so now we've got something that should let us work with this arrow line. We should be able to point it at 0, which we've done. So now at this point, if I move it over here and move from 0 to transform, aha, I think it did the opposite. And that's probably because this offset is negative transform.position, which the point of that was what? And get rid of that logging, don't need it. And again, we're not using this new position. So this will be basically if we had again, we don't have this offset thing unless I purposely go through this list and find the appropriate thingy. Was it index 18? Or was this the one? Well, let me get that lined up here. Get that back to 0 with my button. Like so. And yeah, I think we can do this a better way that's going to be a lot more reliable. So that looks so janky. Doesn't matter. Is this the one we want to move? Yeah. Do we want over there? Not at all. That should be fine. Right there. Oh, there we go. I did exactly on 0, so that's what I wanted. So I'm just going to get index 18, and this is just a magic number. Yeah. What is that? It's an int. My arrow point index is 18. So now instead of, yeah, excellent. So basically we're going to get the line renderer. Yep. So we're grabbing that arrow point index position. Okay. And that is vector 3. So that is our current position. So that is the start. I just pointed with my finger at this. Very good. That is the start of this pink arrow there. And now we just need the other one there, which is transformed position. Well, that's if we're moving it to the transform position. But we can move it to any position. And that's what this new position is going to be. So the offset is now going to be not that. We've got these two, and we want to make an arrow that goes from there to there. And actually, these two yellow arrows are close enough to representing what we want. This is an easy way to figure out what should be subtracted from what when you're trying to get relative positions for the arrow to go the right way. So if you were to flip this arrow the other way, let me grab a color here. Let's get, what haven't I used yet? Green. Let's say we flipped this the other way and put it on the tip of here. No, sorry. I've already got these two like this, and that's the one I want. So if I want to go from there to there, but do it in 2 steps, then I need to turn that around. So that is the current position of the arrow that is going to be subtracted so that that vector gets flipped to the opposite direction. And that will get us from here to here when we add them together. So basically, transform position minus that current position. But transform position in this case, I'm going to use new position, and that could be any new position, whether it's the position of the transform or some other thing like 0, 0. Yeah. Minus current position. So that is the offset we want to add onto each of those positions. And this is helpfully saying I can use compound assignment on there. Yeah, so basically just getting each item, setting its value. And I think I know this, I'm pretty sure. No, I don't know this. I'm pretty sure there's a reason why I'm not doing line renderer get positions. Because I could just get them as an array, iterate the array. So why am I not doing that? Is there a line renderer set positions? sets the positions. But interestingly, get positions takes an argument here. So you've got to give it an array to put into the output array. So so basically you pass an output array in, and I don't want to manually handle an output array. This is not performance critical enough for me to use up my sparse neurons on that. Yes, so just adding that offset to each point. I don't think I need that comment anymore. Yeah, that's already what's happening. What are you suggesting here? Add a read-only modifier? Sure, why not? Yeah, good point. I do actually not want that to be changed by the code, and if code tries to change it, that's probably a mistake. Yeah, cool. So now I could pretty much just call this with any position, and it should move the arrow there. But it should work with that transform position, so let's just let that compile, and that should work. And then I'll actually start representing these arrows in the tutorial levels, because right now tutorial level doesn't have any of these arrows, so I just need basically an arrow and a position that it should be pointing to. I might do something with a rotation as well, but I can probably get somewhere reasonable with that. So if I want to put this pointing to that button there, I could do this, and boom. And it's not actually from 0 to transform anymore, is it? It'll just move to transform. So let me update that to be correct. Cool. Why are these buttons so wide? I would like them to be narrower. Or can I put them side by side? I've got a button here. Unity engine UI elements button. Could I possibly at all maybe get rid of this label? Maybe this could just say arrow moving details, because that's what these are. And what was that again? Unity engine UI elements. Dot. What have we got here? I don't want to abstract progress bar. This is not the most efficient way, by the way, to get this working. But I am in a pretty early exploring phase with this particular UI library, I guess you call it, this particular set of UI elements. So I'm using this opportunity to just have a little bit of a look through at what type of things we've got. I presume there's some kind of a panel. We've got a box. What's a box? So I've got that button there that I'm using. A column. Oh, for some reason that just really wants to put this all the way across the screen. Represents a column in multi-column views such as multi-column list view or multi-column tree view. Provides the properties to define how a user interacts with a column, and so on. Yes, that's probably related to columns. Contextual menus. Double field. Oh, I was thinking it's like somehow two fields in one. I'm pretty sure that's talking about an input for a double length integer. Not integer. Double floating point number. Twice the precision. Yeah, we've got a bunch of drag and drop related things and drop downs. Oh, interesting. We've got a flex direction as an element. So I could have a flex layout, which is, Flexbox, pretty common stuff. Oh, does that mean we also maybe have grid? I could pop those two buttons on a Flexbox that would stack them vertically if they got too narrow. Interesting, an interface for a panel. Panel settings, panel scale. I've got a bunch of panel related things, but not actual panels. Why did I get a ding? No, another ding. I think that is coming from somewhere else. Yes, from over here. Excellent. Everything's going according to plan. I'm just going to set this. I've got about 20 minutes left. A bit of a slow stream here, but I do need to somewhat adapt to staying up later instead of going to sleep earlier and waking up super early. So hopefully my brain will start to kick into gear as I get in the habit of using it at this time instead of just mindlessly scrolling things and zoning out. Let me minimize that because that is going to distract me. 20 minutes, and then I'll probably just look at doing a thing of some kind. Maybe I can just make a flexbox. I can do flex direction. All right. Let me see if I can just quickly how do I do something like a flexbox? Oh, what was that? That was something that I need to duplicate the tab and go back so that I don't lose that. UI elements.display style.flex. All right, let's have a look at these position elements with the layout engine. Right. So what is the name of a generic container? Although I guess at this point, this inspector that I have here visual element. Yeah, this is just, I think a visual element is the equivalent of a flexbox. So if I look at my inspector.display display style, no? A visual element. Maybe I should actually like read this thing here. I probably should have done this on the train instead of catching up on some work. More of those boom noises. You can hear those, can't you? I'm not going crazy. It's not all in my head. One day I'll get the hang of asynchronous messaging. It is not today. Alright, so UI Toolkit includes a layout engine that positions elements based on layout and styling properties. The layout engine uses the layout principles of yoga. So you put the mat on the ground and then you lay out on the mat and then put your limbs all over the place, which implements a subset of Flexbox. Okay, well, I know Flexbox, so that's the starting point. I wonder what the subset is. Most properties of Flexbox, okay. By default, all elements are part of the layout. The layout has the following default behaviors. A container distributes its children vertically. The position of a container rectangle includes its children rectangles. This behavior can be limited by other layout properties. Content container. Interesting, it hasn't got any display style. No. Okay, that's not working yet. I'm jumping too far ahead too fast. Okay, so all elements are part of the layout. Distributes its children. The following are the main style properties. Hang on a minute. Dot style. Okay, what kind of value does this flex direction want? It'll be this enum here of flex direction. So yes, we've got the usual Flexbox things. So we want row. Okay, so flex direction dot row. And that might be enough to actually put these this way. Including this text, unfortunately. Yes, it did do that. Oh, guess that's fine with that label like that. Can I just put this in a local like that, so then I can update it without having to do so much stuff. Okay. We don't get any stretch option. Now let's put space between. But maybe we can get this label. Sure, we'll call that label because we're being very creative here. And I don't know if we have to style them first, but we want justify self. We don't have justify self. Oh, so maybe just flex. Yeah, I'll do a flex grow of 1 to make it take up any available space. And I'll hopefully push everything to the end, even if we don't have that. Okay, probably about time for me to stop focusing on tiny layout related things of utilities that aren't even part of the game. Yeah, there we go. I just wanted them to be a bit over to the side. That'll do. That'll be fine. Yep. Yes, of course, the old thing like that. Lovely. Less code is better. And when that comes from the language, better still. Okay, we don't need a Unity engine there, apparently. All right, our arrow lines are ready. And I really have not got that like integrated into the tutorial system yet. So let me see if I can do that in the remaining 10 minutes or so. Did I drag that down there? It was really not really responding. Okay. So what I have is tutorial texts. There are my tutorial texts. Is this that test button? Okay. I don't know where this page text updater is. Page text updater component. Here it is. So this page text updater is a script that has the job of holding some tutorial levels. And well, it updates some other things, but yeah, I co-opted it into doing this. Okay, so this is where those tutorial levels live. But a tutorial level right now is yeah, literally just some of these tutorial text elements, an array of those. So what we want is arrows with line positions. So let's quickly get those in. And that will be a arrow position. An array of arrows, arrow positions. Okay, well, let's just, yeah. I will add that in there. And I'll create a struct here. Let's make these be called tutorial arrow because I called the other things tutorial text element, and I don't want this struct to feel left out by having a name that is not like that. What are we going to have? I'll have a vector2 position. And that's all we're going to have. So this could just be an array of vector2s, but I might actually define a different type of arrow, or add rotations. So there we go. Now we have arrows. And let me jump into, say, tutorial level 0. So what I'll need to do is I'll just go to my button here, little test button, and I was just about to say I should make a better system for these, but then I'm going to use up all my dev time making a better system for these. So this is tutorial test button. Okay, so let me go into my project here, into my tutorial levels, and level 0, and let's add an arrow. And that should be at position, what? I don't know. Let's just, I'm just going to lock that inspector. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to unlock that inspector because look what I did last time. I locked this inspector, and this is actually already locked onto tutorial level 1. So fantastic. So this one's not locked, and I'll just go to the test button and set this to 0 so it's got the correct thing there, and then press it. Do I really need to? Oh yeah, actually it's not a big deal. Because these are serialized objects, it means that we don't have the same problem of any changes that you make to this tree of game objects during gameplay. As soon as you stop the game, it stops working. Stops working? That's not a very good description. You'll just lose all of your changes. So we don't have that problem here. I can press this. Oh, it's only going to work if I actually press it here. Now, let me do a few things here. I'll go into my settings and I'll reset my level progress to 0. It's got a few stages to that button, just so you won't accidentally do that. So, what I want is, so that's just the arrow prefab. It just occurred to me that I haven't actually done anything to use this arrow position. But what I can do is grab my arrow line here, pop this where I will want it, think about there, press my helpful button. Okay, that's a little too high, so I'll just move that down there. I guess just want to move that text up a little bit, right? Here. This is being positioned at negative 13.5, 38.5, which apparently comes out at this because we must have negative 3 point something and so on in our parent position. But what do we want? Just the Y position to be a little more, so it's 35 right now. Let's get it probably about that much higher. And I'll grab that arrow line up a bit here. That should be a bit better. Yeah, perfect. All right, so that's where I want that arrow. Yeah, we got 3.1 and about 3.5, 3.12 and 3.15. Unfortunately, once I position all of this, I can't use these directly because it's going to be offset by that amount. But let me just pop that there and grab this one here, and that text was moved about 4 plus 4 or so in the Y. So about 42. And now I'm going to click back on that page canvas. So yes, we're automatically getting 3.5 greater than we want. I think so. I'm going to get that down to about 22. And that one should be too large by 3, so I'll add negative. I'll get that a bit more negative. Okay, so that's possibly the position that I want. Now, where is the code that runs when I press test button? I'm out of time, but let me very quickly try and rush that because, okay, it's page text updater. Here's page text updater. It is calling test tutorial level here. So I think I want to have some arrows. We've got the tutorial levels there, and I think I also want to have a game object. Unity object. That's the tutorial arrow prefab. Oops. Okay, and when we test that, grabs the level, and then for each of those, does that. Go through those arrows and You want to instantiate. This is going to be an arrow line renderer. And we'll give it that tutorial arrow prefab. Yep. We should be able to give it a container as well, a parent, which will be tutorial arrows. And then that's the new arrow equals that. And then I basically want to go we want to get the arrow line renderer component. And we want to call that set positions and give it a new position, which is vector 3, which comes from that arrow in the tutorial level serialized object. And that should do it for that bit. And yeah, we can clear children for the tutorial arrows. They could all live in the same parent if I wanted, but hey, that seems fine. Okay, so I need to make sure I set that prefab up in there and set the tutorial level. So let's do that. Let me stop that running for a moment so that it can start compiling. Okay, so here's tutorial texts. Let's create empty. Call it tutorial arrows, move it out of there. All right, page text updater. Does that live on? That lives on page canvas. Now we need tutorial arrows to go here. And we need that prefab, probably in prefabs, I would guess. It's called arrow line. I could use a better name, but oh well. Okay, moment of truth, that should work. Well, at the moment, it'll take a while because that's got to compile. But yeah, so no actual tutorial levels, so not much point doing a release at this point because it'll just be the same game that was released previously, but with this stuff on there. Let me press this button. Yes, we have that, but it's in the wrong place by a little bit. But that's fine. That's in tutorial arrows. And if I make several, there's no reason to expect that wouldn't work. This is almost in the right position, but it's too low. Interesting. I should have noted what those numbers were. Here, I'll do test button. Yeah, so that put the arrow line there. Okay, so interestingly, it's Oh, tutorial arrows is probably at a particular position. And it may be relative to that. Tutorial arrows is at 0, 0, 0. As is tutorial texts. I'll just bring that up to the size of that. These are floating point numbers. They're trying to be 0, but they're really failing. I don't know if that's going to make any difference. No, it really doesn't. Anyway, there's the arrow line. And if I pop this over like there to sort of line up with that, we're at negative 29.3, positive 23.5. Where we want to be is negative 24. So we're about 5.32 negative on the first number. That's 29.6 instead of 23.9. So about 6 to negative. So basically if I add 6 onto that and increase this by 5, is it 5? 5.5. So make that 13. Let's say 13.5 and see how that goes. Okay, that is updated. That's looking better. And although it's not perfect, I at least can like move this across a little bit just by dragging it across like this. And I'm not planning to make so many tutorial levels that will matter much. A little bit higher there, and this text position a little bit higher. Yeah, that's good. What I will do is stop that for now. So yeah, I really did need to get that working. So now I have a way to have arrows in my tutorial levels. So that is done. I'm going to move that back out to here and say that is done. So I can at least check one thing off. I have gone over time by 11 minutes and it is supposed to be a hard stop because I hard need sleep. That is a terrible sentence, which only goes to illustrate my point. So thank you so much for watching. I have been me, David from PhotoPixel, as usual. And I should be back again later in the week, whenever the stream schedule says. In 2 or 3 days, I believe, depending on what I worked out. It's been in flux, but whatever's on the schedule should be accurate. So, do I just end the stream here? Oh, it feels so, I don't know, like something's missing. But I don't have any confetti or anything. So, yes, thank you for watching.